Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hi, and welcome back. I'm your hostess, Amber Garvin, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, Cindy Murray and Kristen Hessler.
Hello.
Hello.
And this week, we are talking a bit about a book that I'm currently reading. I got it the year before last for Christmas from Kristen.
We're so bad about reading books. So many stacks of books.
I know. Like, I got this book over a year ago, and I'm just now reading it. I know.
I'm working on one that's over a year
I
old,
almost
too.
forgot that I gave it to you. I was like, I feel like I bought that book for someone for Christmas.
Well,
when we were talking about it.
Yeah. Well, a few podcasts ago, when we were talking about the Literary Witches book, I got that the same Christmas as well. And so I was sitting here thinking, okay, I'm talking about the 2021 Christmas again. Why? Oh, yeah. I was literally just talking about it a few weeks ago. So I'm just now getting to those books that I got that Christmas. And this last Christmas, I got a whole new set of books that, next year we'll be talking about it. No, I'm just kidding. One of my goals for this year has been to read more, so this is what I'm working on.
All right.
So, yeah. So the book is called Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. She is a lifestyle blogger, and I didn't really know much about the author whenever I asked for this book for Christmas. I just heard that it was a really good book. I don't know really much about Rachel Hollis or her husband. And
Rachel or Sarah?
You've called her both.
When did I call her Sarah?
The first time.
First time.
It's Rachel. When did I call her Sarah? I don't remember.
You literally
When you
did.
said, we're talking about Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis.
And I looked at each other and was like,
Time out.
Okay.
Start that
Just
over.
call her Jenna Hollis next time.
Right.
And then
No, okay. So funny story. My boss, his last name is Watson, and for the first 9 weeks of school, I called him Watkins.
Oh,
That's like when we met. I called you Christine forever.
forever.
She gets that
Yeah,
a lot.
I do. I have.
Like I even introduced you to my mom as Christine.
You know what? My husband gave me a card one year for after we were married. And it said Christine. And I was like, really? Really? You don't even know how to spell your own wife's name? And he was just like, oh, I don't know. I guess it's just like automatic. And I was like, yeah, no, autocorrect on your handwriting.
All
It
right.
happens.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. The book that I'm talking about is called Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. I may or may not have called her a different name earlier, but when I was talking about it, but it's Rachel Hollis. And like I said, I don't know anything about her. I just started reading this book because I have been on an autobiography kick. And this book is part self-help, part autobiography. And the subtitle of the book, Girl Wash Your Face, is called Stop Believing the Lies About Who You Are So You Can Become Who You Were Meant to Be.
Oh.
And the reason I picked up this book is because I feel like, especially as female, we are told a lot of lies about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't even have to be female. Just people in general. We're told a lot of lies about ourselves, like we should believe a certain way about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I do like about this book is that she takes about 20 different lies, and we won't talk about all of them today, but probably the most relevant ones. She takes about 20 different lies and she breaks them down and gives tips like how she got over that part in her life. And she starts her book out with a disclaimer. Well, not really a disclaimer, but like a letter to the reader. And she ends it with, "Here is my takeaway." And you can choose to read this book or put it back down, but I want you to know my takeaway first, since this is the first thing that you are reading. And she says that you and only you are responsible for who you become and how happy you are.
Absolutely.
And
true.
that really, hit me, because so many years I was so worried about making other people happy that I just shoved my happiness down, kept pushing it down like it would float to the surface, and I'd push it back down. No, I can't think about me. I have to think about these other people. No, I can't think about me. I have to think about these other people. And it was just kind of like a yo-yo for years and years and years. And now I feel like in my life that I am finally free to be happy. That I don't have to worry about anybody else. That I don't have to worry about, well, this person's not happy, so I must please them. I am trying to be happy on my own terms for the first time in my life. And yeah, I just last November turned 39. And that's also one of the lies that she talks about in this book. The lie number 10 that she talks about is people tell themselves at any point in their life, I should be further along by now. And that's a big whopper with relevant to my age, because I'm getting married this year, and I had a mini freak out when I set the wedding date. I was like, I'm getting married at 40. I will have just turned 40 when I'm getting married. And I'm like, I'm getting married at 40. And I remember back when I was 20, my students talk about it.
40 is a long
40
way away.
So old. And when they talk about that, and I'm sitting there, and they don't, they think that I look way younger than I am. They think I'm still in my 20s. I mean, they know I'm in my 30s, but I look like I'm still in my 20s. So, look, minus the gray hair I'm getting at my temples. But, they don't even, like, when they're like, ew, 40, they don't even, like, think that I'm standing right there and I'm about to turn 40. And they know I'm about to turn 40, but I look like I'm in my 20s. I act like I'm in my 20s sometimes, except for the lower back pains I had a couple of weeks ago. Oh my goodness. But anyway, it's just like sometimes I do think about that. Sometimes I do feel like I should be farther along at 40.
One of the things that came up in the Cultivate What Matters that we were doing, the goal setting stuff, and it's a really good point, is that comparison, because that's exactly what that is. You're comparing how far you are to where everybody else is, or where you think everybody else is. That's an
Eckhart Tolle ego thing also.
Well, and comparison isn't just the thief of happiness. Comparison is the thief of everything.
Yes.
You can't compare yourself to others. And I don't know what her points are there, but that's one of my big ones. And I've always done that too. My husband and I had this discussion several years ago, because some of his bandmates, all of his bandmates are in different situations in their life. They don't have children, and he was comparing himself to them That they get to go on trips, foreign, out of the country, and international trips or whatever. And they have this kind of house and they have this kind of car and these kind of things. And I said, but they don't have children. They don't have children. We had children. We made that conscious choice to have children. And children cost money. So we gave up that travel or whatever. We can't compare our lives to theirs because our lives are very different than theirs.
Yeah.
And once you put it in that light, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, she talks about, oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh, I was going to say for mine, my comparison that I've been kind of struggling with the past year or so is not really comparing myself to other people, but comparing myself to just where my life is at this moment and what I wish I could have accomplished before this time. I have not conceived a child. I am a mom in a sense. I'm lucky to be able to be a stepmom, but getting to where my body is not going to be physically capable, and so that's kind of hitting me not at a point in my life that I thought I would have already been at by now.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of coming to terms with that in a sense, and trying not to compare what I think I could have had or should have.
Right.
Because in a sense, I could have a 20-year-old kid at this point in my life.
Right.
I could have already
or you could still get pregnant and have a child at some point because women do have children older and older now.
Right.
Or you can choose
in their late 40s, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, that comparison thing it puts undue pressure on you, I think, to perform. It's performance pressure in a way. But even though you're saying you're not comparing to other people, you really are in a way comparing to other people because
you see other people, with kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
then, that's Kristen nailed it. That's basically what that lie was about, is that, she has a to-do list of things that a bucket list, so to say, of things that she wants to do in life, and she feels like that she should be farther along on her to-do list.
I think a lot of people do that. Mark and I did not buy our first home until we were much, much older. And, so we're looking at things. He looks at himself and says, here I am, I'm over 60 years old and we're still paying on this house. So, ours may not be children because we had children early on, but we did not buy a house. And, so I think everybody does that to some extent. We compare, we compare ourselves in school. Well, I should be doing better on this class or, whatever. What answer does she give to how you remedy that? Or, to me, I think it's just a matter of realizing that you don't
have to do it all. That's basically it. Yeah, that's her answer is, her answer was to go back and reconfigure your goals and your bucket list and maybe set the timeline out farther.
Be a little more realistic.
Yeah, be realistic about it. That's basically, And this lie goes with another lie, and that's lie number 4 is I'm better than you, which is another comparison.
Oh, wow.
How people are just they look at other people and they're like, maybe one person is a hot mess and then the other person, well, her hair is perfectly everything and she's walking to work without spilling her coffee on herself, and she's like, oh, I'm better than that girl over there that I work with.
Yeah. And we do that too, and we've talked about that in the Eckhart Tolle materials as well. that putting yourself as better than someone else or
Yeah. And it's just like her takeaway on that is just, take a step back and look at yourself. Are you really that different than the person that
Right.
you are judging?
Right.
Do
We
you
all
even
have
know
our
their
flaws.
story? Do you know them? Why
Right.
are you judging them? You don't know them.
Right. We all have our flaws, and that other person may be looking at you and going, yeah, she may look all pretty, but her husband's about to leave her, or she may be all pretty, but she just had a whole bunch of hot checks. Everybody has their problems, so you can't say I'm better than you. No one of us is any better than another, and I think that also goes back to the thing where we talk about like stay-at-home moms think they're better than the working moms because they didn't abandon their children, and the working moms think they're better than
the careerless women.
Yes,
right?
because they think you must not be very smart, or you must not have much drive, or what, for whatever reason. And it's really none is any better than the other. It's just what works for.
That there's something like that in the teacher world as well, where I went to college and got my teaching certification through college, and I trained through college, and I took my tests through college, and that's one way to become a teacher. And then there's the alternate way where you get your bachelor's degree first, and then you do an online program of some sort called alternative certification, and you work as a teacher and get the experience that way, and do your online alternative certification and then take your test. And so sometimes, well, I guess that's also like a regular college versus online college. Sometimes teachers that went the way I did look down on teachers that did alternative certification because they don't have the training that they went to.
I remember when online college first became like advertised on TV and stuff, and I was like, that's not a real college. You have to actually like go to class and sit in the classroom. But now it's all online.
You can go to a 4-year. Like I could go back to
those
TWU
people are just
online,
paying for their degree. Yeah. We all pay the price.
Yeah, now it's so easy to get your master's degree online. Like back when I first graduated from college and I wanted to get my master's degree, and my mom wanted me to go immediately to work and help pay my student loans back, or make money, She wanted me to immediately go to work, and I wanted to get my master's degree, and now I'm finding it a hard time to go back and get my master's degree because it's so easy to get it now, but I'm having a hard time getting the motivation to do it because I knew that when I graduated I should have immediately done it because I knew that now 12 years later, I would not have the motivation.
You have to talk yourself into it.
And I've been talking myself into it for like about 4 years now. And Ashley, who just graduated, is very lucky that she can just go immediately into it. And it's a lot easier to get your master's and get into the master's program now. Like 12 years ago, I had to do all of these things to get into the master's program and take all of these tests, and now all you have to do really is apply and pay for it.
Well, it depends on the program.
It depends on the program, But just for a master's in education, I don't have to take any tests to do that or write a paper or anything like that. Makes me mad. Just kidding. It doesn't. Maybe eventually I'll get my master's, which is another lie that I want to segue into, the I'll start tomorrow.
Oh.
That's a big one for me, especially like whenever I used to weigh like 200 pounds ago, 200 pounds heavier, my big thing that I did was I'll start my diet tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start eating healthy tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this tomorrow.
I'll
start
exercise tomorrow,
exercising
yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And her point in the book is you keep every time you put yourself off, you are lying to yourself.
Yeah.
You put yourself off and you are disappointing yourself. And eventually, no one is going to be able to take you seriously. I mean, and, I guess if they're aware or whatever, but how can people take you seriously when you don't even take yourself seriously?
Right. Well, and
Ouch.
that one kind of goes with another one, and I don't know if she has it on there, but it's kind of the same thing. It's I will do this after I've done that,
Mhm.
or when
I'll be happy when all
when
my
this
ducks are in a
happens.
row.
Yeah, when this happens, or I can do this when that happens, or
that
whatever.
does go together with another lie. It's something else will make you happy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like doing something else will make you happy.
It's always
so this or
that's
that,
always
yeah.
on the horizon. That
Yeah,
next
something
thing
else,
that you're
yeah.
chasing
Yeah.
after.
Mm-hmm.
And she makes an analogy about moving. A lot of people, if they're unhappy in their place, that they'll just move.
Oh yeah.
And you can't move away from happiness because it's or away from unhappiness because it's inside you, and you have to. She
It's
says
just a distraction.
Yeah.
The moving,
Yeah.
yeah.
My mother used to have a saying that she. Oh,
I
go
was
ahead.
just going to say, she says it's impossible to go somewhere new if you can't acknowledge where you are.
Oh yeah, my mother used to have this thing about. She had this saying about women who rearrange their furniture a lot, and she said that was a sign of insecurity. That they would rearrange the
You're
furniture.
second guessing yourself. Yeah.
But that what you're talking about too. Also, that applies to people not just moving but changing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy in this job, so I'm going
their
to
look.
I'm going to change this job. This job isn't. I'm not happy in this job, so I'm going to go get a different job because I'll be happy when I get that job.
But
that's
you won't.
a different job. You won't.
You're the same
because
person.
You will find something else to be unhappy about. Because happiness is not about your situation. It's not about what you're doing.
What it gives to you.
It's not about what it gives to you. It's about what value you can find in it, because your happiness comes from within. And that was that was one of the things that took me a long time to learn. And I think
It starts with being content.
it does. It does. It actually starts with gratitude, being grateful for what you have. And I think I wrote a blog about this, and if I did, I will link it on Heard It on the podcast.
But, we're in a society that's like, I want more, I want more, I want more, I want more, and we're conditioned as we grow up. I want more, 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 and then nothing is ever good enough, and then you're never happy. But yeah, gratitude. You have to be happy for what you have. I mean, it's essential to your life. And if you're not happy, then there's something that you need to change internally
in you. Yes absolutely.
And of course, like for a lot of these her suggestions are simple goal setting, which is what we talk about all the time. Goal setting, having a to-do list, going to therapy, talking to somebody.
I agree.
And okay, so and that kind of segues into this other lie, the I'm not good enough lie to do this certain thing, whatever.
That's the I am enough is something that comes up repeatedly in the Allie Edwards One Little Word stuff, because a lot of us have these lies that we tell ourselves. I'm too much, I'm too over the top, I'm too, or I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not brave enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. We all tell ourselves, I'm not skinny enough.
Yeah.
I'm not blonde enough. I'm not rich enough. We do those a lot. And I think that is it goes back to the comparison thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not rich enough because they are richer. You're not pretty enough because you think they are prettier. But you can't do that comparison thing. Everybody is their own person, and
yeah,
you are enough.
Yeah, and that's definitely like another key to happiness is realizing that you as yourself right now, you are enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes into another lie I want to talk about is she calls it the I need to make myself smaller lie. Not like as in weight, but as in like to make yourself easily digestible for other people, to meet other people's expectations.
And often we call that about shining your light. Don't dim to fit in. If you feel uncomfortable, if other people make you feel uncomfortable being who you naturally are,
mm-hmm.
and that makes you want to be smaller and hide who you are to be a smaller person, then that person is not for you.
Yeah.
Be who you are. Shine your light bright.
And
don't make yourself smaller.
And that's definitely something that I did for years.
Oh, me too.
Is make myself smaller, not talk as loud. And even then, like, I'm just a naturally loud person. And the more excited I get, the louder I get.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my coworkers said to me the other day, "You're so loud." And I was just like, and I took a step back for a second and I tried to shrink internally.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, wow, they are saying this to me. Does everybody think that I'm
mm-hmm.
loud? Does everybody think that I'm annoying? Does everybody, maybe I should just not talk in a meeting or talk at all. Maybe I should just shrink back into the corner and not be noticed.
Yeah.
And I spent the majority of my life trying to make myself physically smaller and just not be noticed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't talk out loud in class, even though I always knew the answer. I didn't brag. I didn't, like if I walked by somebody, I tried to shrink myself down to where like they wouldn't have to move out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent the majority of my life doing this. The only self-expression that I had that people noticed me was that, I had funky hair in high school and I wore funky clothes. And that was like my self-expression flashing out, but I always otherwise kept my head down,
mm-hmm.
didn't say anything so people wouldn't notice me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't make fun of something that you don't notice.
Right.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I think that happened to me when I hit puberty because I remember being in 6th grade and I think like the teacher called on me and I said something and like I said the wrong thing or I stumbled on my words and then I was just like, nope, not going to talk in school ever again because like someone laughed at me or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember just not talking in 6th grade. My 2 best friends had moved on to other schools and it was just me and against everybody else. And I was like, I didn't want people to notice me because my body was changing and I was the only like big girl and I was the only girl that had boobs and the only girl that probably probably thought I was the only girl that had a period because none of the other girls did because I was weird, you know, and I didn't like my clothes, and I didn't like the way I looked, and like you're saying, like walking past people, you know, I would like suck my stomach in so that I could walk behind their chair. You know, if my pencil broke during class, I wouldn't get up and go across the room to sharpen my pencil because I didn't want people to look at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to have to squeeze in between everybody's chairs. Or, you know, I just pretended stupid so that I wouldn't have to speak up in class because I didn't want people to hear my voice. Like, I don't know what was wrong with me. But, like, I remember in 6th grade, that was me. In 6th grade. And then it took me a really long time to get out of that, like to just grow. And like the older I got, the more bubbly I became. But, and you know, I was able to like make new friends when we moved. And I think probably had I not moved, I probably would have like stuck in that, whatever that shell was that I crawled into. And I don't think I would have been able to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, well, I mean, I had some pretty good friends in high school also that, like, I could be myself with, and that was really great. I think, like, what really helped me was, you know, going off to college and getting out of Vernon and, like, all of the lies and everything, and going off to college and meeting a bunch, because I was the only big girl as well. And meeting a bunch of girls in my dorm room that looked just like me. I mean, not just like me, but y'all were all like it was a bunch of us, and we were so awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, we were awesome, you know, like a bunch, you know, a few, there was like 5 of us, big girls, and then a skinny girl. She was, for once, the oddball out. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we used to joke around, oh, Jamie's so skinny, you know, and there would be like 5 of us big girls, and we all sit out on the porch and watch everybody, and we'd all sit at lunch, and we'd all be together, and we'd all be having a good time, and then people wanted to sit with us at lunch. And we had, towards the end of the school year, we had such a big table because everybody wanted to sit with us because we were having such a good time.
You were letting your light shine.
Yeah.
We're being ourselves.
You're being yourself.
Yeah, like, and we felt like we could be ourselves because no one was judging us.
Right.
Because we all had similar stories and similar backgrounds.
Yeah. But you don't... I think that's the big point, though, is we think we have to have similar backgrounds, but I don't. The truth of that is that you don't have to have similar backgrounds.
You really don't.
We all have different stories to tell. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different things that make us cringe or want to hide, and that make us want to, you know, just not be ourselves in front of other people, you know, and I think just being yourself, when you can learn to just be yourself and let your light shine, the people who are like you will be drawn to you. But they can't see you if you don't shine your light. And you know, when you finally got to college and you let your light shine, they flocked to you. Yeah. They were drawn to you. And, you know, I've spent much of my life hiding my weirdness. You know, I'm first to admit I'm a weirdo. I'm a nerd. I like nerdy things. I like to read. I like science fiction movies. I'm a nerd. And when I quit trying to hide my weirdness and my nerdiness, people started being my friend, and they're just as weird and nerdy as me. And sometimes in the same way, sometimes in different ways. But I think with my group of friends that I have now, I can totally be myself. And I never could do that before. And it doesn't matter how weird or nerdy or whatever I am. They accept me for who I am because I just shine my light. I am who I am. And they are who they are. And I accept them for who they are. So, yeah.
And one thing I do love about Jason is that, like, when we met, I was so insecure about everything because my ex-husband made me that way, and, you know, I couldn't be myself and everything like that. And Jason said to me, one of the things that I remember the most when we first started dating and I was being insecure about something, he stopped me and he said, "You're perfect. I think you're perfect." And that was like really kind of tearing up thinking about that. But that was really just like kind of like a, you know, it was just like so life changing because nobody, not even my own parents, ever told me that I was perfect. Like, it's always been like, you would be perfect, or you would be better if you lost weight.
Yes.
You would be better if you put something on that pimple. You would be better if you got better grades, if you were smarter, if you had a higher IQ. Whatever, it's always been like, you're pretty, but you would be prettier if. Or you're smart, but you would be smarter if. And so it was just like, Jason was like the first person, I'm not, other than my friends, of course, but Jason was like the first person I'd ever, like had a relationship with that was just like, I accept everything about you. Every stretch mark, every fat roll, every gray hair, every stupid joke, every quirk.
Every piece of baggage.
Yeah, every piece of baggage. She said, I accept you. And I love you, and I want to marry you, and I think that you're my soulmate, and I'm falling in love with you, and I've never had to be anything else with him.
Right.
Like, and now I'm really tearing up over here, but, I've, never had to be anything else, and that is what makes us perfect, because I see him as perfect.
Now you got Kristen crying too.
Like I see him and all his flaws, and he sees me and all my flaws, and we both have things that we need to work on, and we're working on them together. And I think that it's a beautiful thing, two people coming from like trauma and working our way out of it together and finding each other the way that we did. And we're both weird, and we're both quirky, and we're both unapologetically like, we're just gonna do this thing called life together and not even care what other people think. And I finally met somebody that will go on that journey with me and not care what other people think.
Yeah.
And I'll get off my soapbox now and dry
No, I
my
think that was very
eyes.
eloquently said, because I think that's where we all need to get to, where we're just, unapologetically ourselves. And because the people who get you will just get you. And
if
the
they
people
don't, they're not worth.
If people,
they're
if they
worried
don't
about.
get you, they're not for you.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, friendships, family members, if they don't get you, they're not for you.
Right.
And it took me until I was like 37 years old.
It took me till I was in my 50s.
Yeah, that not all family members are right for you. Just because you share the same blood, share the same DNA, doesn't mean that
You have to conform to them.
That you have to conform to them. Like, they're going to be narcissistic, they're going to be selfish, and they're going to try to conform you, but you do not have to conform to them.
No, just be who you are.
Like, family is not defined by blood, and, you know, I am so lucky that Jason's family accepts me the way that I am. How, you know, I was really worried about that, like, first meeting them. I told Jason, I'm like, I'm not good with parents. Parents never like me. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to think I'm weird. And Jason said, I'm weird, and they accept me, so why wouldn't they accept you?
Mm-hmm.
And they do.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful thing.
It is. You're very fortunate that you've found that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't think I got to that till I was in my 50s. So, you know, really.
Were there any lies in her book that were ones that didn't resonate with you, or anything that was like...
Yes, there are a few about motherhood that did not resonate because I'm not a mother with me at all. Like number 8, I don't know how to be a mom.
I don't think, you know, I'm... That one actually is one of those things. It's a lie and it's a truth. The truth is that no one knows how to be a mom. It's a work in progress. Just like we don't know how to be an adult, or we don't know how to be a child. It just happens.
Yeah.
It's not a conscious thing. And you know, women who say, I don't know how to be a mom, it's a work in progress. You learn it as you go. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're going to make mistakes. You know, we all make mistakes, and sometimes they're whoppers. But I think it's a self-leveling cup. You know, it's like, you know, it's like a cup and you pour the water in and it looks like it's going to tip out. But really it's self-leveling because it just balances out in the end. Nothing that you are going to do is going to be solely responsible for the outcome of your children. Get that in your head. Nothing that you can do is going to be solely responsible for the outcome of your children.
That is true, because they are their own person.
They are their own person.
Yeah. Their own.
You can have an effect on them to some extent, but you are not solely responsible for the outcome of your children. And no one thing that you can do is going to affect them so profoundly that it will change who they are. It all comes down to intent as well. And I had this little quote. We were talking about it earlier when before we started recording tonight. Amber and Kristen were talking about being a good teacher, and it made me think of this quote. And then when we started talking about this podcast, I was like, I got to go find this quote again. I used it in my one little word from last year, and I put it on. It popped up as a little meme on Mother's Day, and it says, "There's no way to be a perfect mother, and a million ways to be a good one." So, you know, no one is ever going to be the perfect mother. But there's a million little things that you can do that make you a good mother. And you don't have to necessarily know them. A lot of it is instinctual, or you learn it as you go. Just being a good person goes a long way towards being a good mother. When you think about the consequences of the things that you do, when you're planning ahead, the things you do, if you treat people with love and compassion, there's 90% of it right there. So, I disagree, but I also agree with that one.
Well, that kind of goes with the next lie she talks about is the I'm not a good mom.
Oh, okay. So that's a different one.
Yeah,
so
that's like two different
ones. Okay.
that she talks
Actually,
about.
caring whether or not you're good or not is
a sign that you probably are a good mom. You know, but I think we all self-doubt ourselves. But yeah, like you said, if you're wondering if you're a good mom, then you probably care enough about your kids to at least be compassionate towards your kids. You know, those two are kind of almost the same thing to me. I don't know how to be a mom. I don't think I'm a good mom.
I feel like the first one, I don't know how to be a mom, is like...
That's new parents.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Literally
like
hearing
self-questioning,
like a 20-year-old
yeah.
say that when they just found out they're pregnant.
I don't know how to be a mom. And
Yeah.
But
Because
again,
they're
like I
still trying
said,
to figure out
nobody
how to take care of themselves.
But nobody, even experienced older parents, still, you know, there's nothing that can prepare you for parenthood. You can read all the books, you can take all the trainings, you can observe all the other parents, but everyone's parenting experience is completely different. Every child is completely different. So you can't know ahead of time how to be a good mom. You can only...
Or how to parent your child, because you don't even know what your child's personality is.
What they need. You don't know what that child needs until that child
is already
there. And so it, like I say, it's a learn as you go kind of thing. You learn and you adapt as you go. Now, here's the part of that, I'm not a good mom. Well, nobody can be that perfect mother, but you can be a good mother in a lot of ways. And it kind of goes back to that 70% rule that we talked about, where you're never going to have the perfect pot. If you can just fuss over it and fuss over it and fuss over it, and it's not gonna ever be perfect. You're always gonna find a flaw. But if you're doing your best, if you're putting 70% of the effort into it, you're going to get better at it and better at it and better at it. And I think that goes for parenting as well. If you are putting in the effort, if you are adapting to the situations and allowing yourself to learn what your child needs or whatever, and you're flexible enough to go with the flow, then you're going to be a good parent. Because it's not about doing it this way or doing it that way, or being, having these rigid ideals about what a good parent is or isn't. Because again, every child needs something different, and your child may want or need this thing on this day, but your child may need something else tomorrow. Your child may need a disciplinarian today to set the boundaries so that they know where their boundaries are. And tomorrow he may need some leniency to help him test those boundaries. So it really is, you're learning to parent just as they are learning to grow in all ways. And you will never be a perfect parent, but that doesn't mean you can't be a really, really good one.
And yeah, the same goes with teaching, because I only see them a few hours out of the day, but I do see growth and can measure the room to see what my kids need that particular day. Maybe they need leniency and a relaxing assignment versus a strict, hardcore, we must do this, we must cover this assignment.
Right. And you just learn those things. And you learn to read your kids and to know what they need. And are you going to get it right all the time? No. I can't even read myself sometimes and know what I need. But I can do my best. And you're going to make mistakes. You're going to say something that hurts your child's feelings. You're going to make a bad choice, but that's
You're gonna promise something.
You're going to promise something you can't follow through on.
Yeah.
And, we all do that, but we get over it. We're all going to be okay. The cup will level. The water will always be level in the cup. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Were there any other ones that did not resonate with you?
Well, I mean, there are a couple of silly ones on here. This one, the lie, other people's kids are so much cleaner, better organized, or more polite than mine.
I think I tell myself the opposite of that. I always look at my kids and go, my kids are so much smarter than those kids. My kids are so much better than those kids.
It goes back to the comparison.
It is.
Thing.
They're both comparisons.
Like these kids are better than my kids. I must make my kids better.
Well, and this is in comparing your kids to other kids, you are stealing your admiration for your children from your children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are stealing from your children. You're withholding your appreciation for who they are. Because you are admiring these other children.
You're coveting them.
You're coveting those other children, and you are stealing the love that you owe to your children.
And
by doing that.
Something that I was the victim of is that my mom had a best friend named Rhonda, and she had Rhonda had a daughter, my friend Chaslin, and my mom was always comparing us. Mm-hmm. We were the complete opposite in pretty much every way. Chaslin was more outgoing. She was a cheerleader. She was skinny. She was super popular. She, had all the boyfriends. She was the coveted thing. She was Mrs. High School,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I was bigger. I was in band. I had pimples. I didn't dress in cute outfits. I preferred the baggy body hiding outfits of the 90s. I didn't do my nails or my makeup or my hair or girly things. And I didn't have a lot of boyfriends. I was, so it was just my mom was always comparing us because my mom, I guess, was the Chaslin in high school. She was a cheerleader, stuff like that. And whereas the opposite, Chaslin's mom, Rhonda, was more the nerd and stuff like that. So, and then, Chaslin was athletic also, which is both of my parents were athletic. So it kind of killed them that I wasn't athletic. And so, it was a constant comparison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But really, when you do that, you are really robbing your children
right, and
of the appreciation for who they really are.
And I think sometimes it just resonates longer too. It only takes one or two comparisons, but then
you remember them when you're 39 years old.
Yes, and it's constant. I've had family members oh, you should do this like your cousin so and so, and it only happened in passing conversation once or twice, but I still remember that as being compared. I wasn't good enough. Yeah.
Unless you were like that person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't done in... Well, and it was just meant to inspire me. I was younger.
Right. And sometimes it's done, to your own siblings. Why can't you be more like your sister? Why can't you be more like your brother?
Do you see your sister sitting over there being good? She's sitting and she's not donkeying around, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I could hear someone saying that to their kids and not meaning it, but in a malicious
trying
way.
To, but
you're
not
just
doing
trying
it in a mean
to
way.
use
My mom wasn't
here's a really
doing
good
it in a
example.
mean way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comparison.
Yeah. What was your example?
of like, a parent might just use the other kid as an example.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Because it's easy as a visual aid, to
look
point
at your sister. She's just sitting there so nice and so well behaved. Why can't you be like her?
Yeah.
Your sister makes good
Children
grades.
take
Why
it
can't you make good grades?
To the extreme, and
Yes.
they fill in the blanks where needed.
I'm not good, and that's where the I'm not good enough comes from, because somebody mentions in passing that you're not like this. So then you get the I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough because I'm not as smart as my sister. I'm not pretty enough because I'm not as pretty as my sister. I'm, whatever. And kids take those things to heart. And then we wind up being 50 something years old and still telling ourselves, I'm not as good as fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And we tell ourselves a lot of lies. So, a lot of lies. A lot more than what she's listed
I don't
there.
even think people realize that they're telling themselves
No, they
those
don't.
lies.
I
Sometimes
think
you don't even see it in work. Like, and I had this discussion with my therapist, and we were talking about that. She wanted me to, like, write down those things that I tell myself. And I was like, I don't actually, like, have a voice.
Right.
I don't even, like... Maybe
you don't
I
acknowledge it.
See it in images or
right.
something, it's just like a feeling, but it's not like there's a word associated with it. Like when I look at myself in a mirror, I'm not like fat, I don't point at myself and go, you are fat, I just feel it. It has an emotion attached to it. So I'm not telling myself anything. I'm just feeling it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that you're more aware of it now because you've talked to your therapist about it.
Yeah.
I'm more aware of it.
It took
I think
me a long
sometimes
time to figure out that's what it was.
Right. But doing the one little word with Allie Edwards, because that's often that has been one of the prompts that we've done was, what are the stories, not necessarily what are the lies, but what are the stories that you tell yourself? Because we tell ourselves these stories or lies all the time. And so learning to acknowledge those stories, those lies, allows us to rewrite that script and to change them into something more positive. So instead of saying I'm not enough, we can restate that I am enough. Stop. We tell ourselves often things that we would not say to a friend. And if it's something that you would not say to your friend, then why in the world would you let yourself say it to yourself? You wouldn't let your friend tell you those things either, probably. But we tell ourselves things. You're fat. You may not have looked in the mirror, but I've looked in the mirror and said, you're fat. You are disgusting. You're too fat. I've said those things to myself in the mirror. And I would never say that to a friend. I would never, ever, ever say that to anyone. But I say that to myself. You're fat. You're ugly. You need to lose weight. You need to get over it. You need to do this. You need to do that. You're not good enough. We don't say those things to other people. So we shouldn't be saying them to ourselves either.
Right.
Yeah.
Change those things. Look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful just the way I am. I am enough. I am fabulous. People love me for who I am. I'm going to shine my light so everyone can see the real me, because my tribe will find me.
Very well said.
So why does the title of the book say "Girl, Wash Your Face"?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. I was going to ask that.
Have you found the link to that? I know you're still in the middle of the book. You're not done reading it yet. So I wondered if that was revealed.
I wonder if
early
she's
on
washing away the tears that she's crying.
Yeah.
From looking in the mirror, maybe. Or, I mean, that was just kind of what I surmised, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. That's exactly why she said that. the very back of the very last of the book, she says, "Girl, get a hold of your life. Stop medicating, stop hiding out, stop being afraid, stop giving away pieces of yourself, stop saying you can't do it, stop the negative self-talk, stop abusing your body, stop putting it off for tomorrow or Monday or next year. Stop crying about what happened and take control of what happens next. Get up right now. Rise up from where you've been. Scrub away the tears and the pain of yesterday and start again. Girl, wash your face."
I love that. I love that. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, she doesn't even mention that until the very last paragraph of the book.
Okay.
Kind of like a last manifesto. And her last lie that she talks about in the book is, "I need a hero." Like, I need... A lot of people tell themselves that they just need somebody to pull them out of their rut that they are in.
Women think they
Or
need a man.
Pull them up out of the ditch that they have
someone
fallen
to come
in.
by with an opportunity.
Yeah.
You can pull yourself up out of the ditch.
Mm-hmm. You can get your footing again. I've done it.
If your car is stuck in
times.
the ditch and you can't get it out, you can just get out of your car and walk.
Yeah.
You're not stuck
there you
in
go.
the ditch. Yeah.
You're not stuck in the ditch.
Don't call AAA. Just get out and walk. I'm just kidding.
Don't hitchhike.
Okay, in
No,
that...
you can call because that's taking an action, but you can't just sit in your car and wait for the tow truck to
just
arrive.
don't just sit and wait for AAA to come.
Right.
You have to actually call them.
You have to ask for help. You have to get up and push the car out of the ditch, or get out of the ditch and walk to the payphone. Oh, those don't even exist anymore, do they?
Walk
but
to the nearest wherever to make a phone call if your cell phone's dead.
You can be your own hero. You don't have to have a hero. And girls do not need a man in your life. Just because you broke up with one guy does not mean it's time to rush on to the next one. You do not need a man in your life to make you complete. A man is not going to make you complete.
A man is not going to make you happy.
No. You can only make yourself happy. Happiness comes from within, from being grateful for where you are, what you have, and what is in the present moment.
Mm-hmm. Being aware. Being self-aware. And if you're just rushing from one relationship to the next, you are not allowing yourself to be happy. If you are rushing from one job to the next, you are not allowing yourself
rushing
to find
yourself from one home to the next.
Yeah, picking up and moving. And
one hobby to the next.
Yeah,
a lot of us are bad about that. We pick up a craft and we start on it, and then
we're on to the next thing. Yeah, the next shiny object or whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you happy either. So you have to find your happiness from within. You have to find it in the peace of being who you are and accepting who you are and where you are, and accepting yourself for, warts and all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if, you're not accepting of yourself, then maybe you do need to make a change. Maybe, especially from within, expand your viewpoint on things that are out of your control. Like,
maybe
not
you're
everybody
expecting too much.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you have too high of expectations about things. Like, if you want to be look like a Barbie or whatever,
that's
not
real.
everybody has that body type.
No, some of us are short.
Yeah,
I got short, stumpy little legs. I'm never gonna look like Barbie because my legs are not long and slender like that, and they never will be. Even when I weighed 112 pounds, I had short legs. I'm not going to look like that. We talked about the little pooch,
Yeah.
I that's normal. It's real.
Yeah, and no amount of plastic surgery,
No,
it's not going to change who you are on the inside.
no. And no man is going to make you happy. No man is going to change who you are on the inside either. And no man is perfect. So if you keep changing men because of this flaw or that flaw, girl, you're flawed too. We're all flawed. We're all human. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. We have to learn to accept who we are, accept ourselves for who we are.
Embrace it.
Embrace it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Anything else we want to talk about? What's happening next week?
No, but I do want to read that book now.
I know. Me
Yeah.
too. Me too.
I didn't know exactly what it was about. I know there was a big buzz about it in the past couple of years. I've seen a lot of people talking about it on Facebook, and a lot of people who don't normally comment about books that they're reading. So I felt like it was more mainstream, so I wasn't sure if it would be of interest. But after, just kind of like you breaking down what it is about, I'm a lot more interested in reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. It's and she has some really great topics and some really great prose. I've been reading the book with my pen and underlining anything or highlighting anything that I feel is relevant to my life.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman, I definitely can identify because she came from a very similar type town with a similar type background and a similar type family. And she describes things that happened to her as a kid and things that she saw in her house and her family. And I can totally relate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that she's going to be relatable to everybody, but
Well, I think some of her points, some of those lies are pretty universal. So
well,
Right.
yeah,
Even
definitely
not even
like
just for a female.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah, because
They're
men compare
very-
themselves as well. They compare themselves to their fathers, their brothers. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not every lie is going to resonate with everybody, but there are some pretty there are some pretty big whoppers in there, and she tells when she talks about it, she gives an example from her real life, like this is how she's still overcoming it, or this is how she overcame it, and this is the point in her life where she realized that this is a problem that she needed to fix.
Cool. What do we talk about next week?
I think you're the
It's me.
hostess.
Yes, I know. I was like, I can't wait to tell you guys. So we're actually taking a departure from women's health, and
we've had a lot of
we
we've
have
had
had a
some-
lot of women's
We've
health.
had a lot of
We
heavy subjects. Yeah.
Yes. So next week we are talking about grimoires. What is a grimoire? So I'm really excited to discuss that. We're getting back in swing with some of our metaphysical conversations.
Yeah.
And those are my favorite.
Yeah.
That in pop culture, of course.
So I'm excited to talk about something a little witchy with you guys.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm excited to talk about that as well. I even, I showed it off to you guys, bought my first little thing that I'm going to make into a grimoire. So, I'm excited to show pictures of that as well online.
Awesome.
Well, you might be blogging about that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
might
now
be.
keep in mind, if you're listening to the... Oh, wait. That's you, not me.
Well, I was
Like,
just
wait a minute.
She's jumping ahead.
Yeah. So definitely I'd love to blog about it. And if you're not aware, we do have a blog that goes with this podcast, and you can find it on modernmusings.net. And then we also have a Facebook group that you guys should check out. It's called MMC Chat. You can find that through our Modern Musings Facebook page. And
they're all linked on the modernmusings.net.
Yeah, they're all linked on modernmusings.net as well as our podcast. But of course, you're already listening to the podcast, so you
You obviously already found that, right?
Yeah. But that's only half the conversation. So you need to check out our Facebook group and check out our blogs, and let's continue the conversation on there because we want to hear from our readers. We want to hear from you. And if you could, give us a subscribe, give us a rating, give us just
some likes.
Yeah, some likes.
Thumbs up, shares.
Share with your friends. And if you have a topic that you want us to talk about, let us know and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping up, we'd like to give special thanks to our friends at Red Door Studios and Creative Audio Tech for our music and recording equipment. And we would also like to thank our listeners because without you, this wouldn't be possible. And definitely without you, it would be pretty boring.
Well, yeah, we'd just be talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
Which we do anyway. But...
I know, all the time, right?
Even in the shower.
Yeah.
You're literally talking about talking with yourself.
Yes. I do it quite often.
Actually, Mom and I were sitting here earlier today, and we were both working on something independently, and we were both talking to ourselves. I was like, we're sad.
My friend says often, she says, it's okay if you talk to yourself as long as you don't answer. And I said, well, no. You can answer. You just have to
don't argue.
No, as long as you realize that you are the one that's answering.
Oh.
No, like I answer and sometimes I argue with myself. Like, I truly am like 5 people in one. Okay, well, on that note, we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.